When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to anfieldindexpro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another post-conference presser from Anfield Index. The sun is shining, ladies and gents, isn't it? It's mint feast weather where I'm from, as they'd say. However, it's the second to last press conference of Jurgen Klopp's reign as the sun sets on his tenure as Liverpool boss. So we'll do the normal. We'll go through the Q&As that Jurgen Klopp was asked, the answers he gave. We'll talk about the clues from the last game, that 4-2 win in the sunshine over Spurs. We'll look at the threats Aston Villa can bring and their situation, and then I'll give my predicted lineup and score, which is difficult at the moment, but hey-ho, we will see. So let's get into it then, ladies and gents. Quite a bit Jurgen Klopp was asked about. I mean, I'd almost say, for context, he probably wasn't quite as in good form as he was last week, but obviously there's a lot happening at the moment, and I think one of the questions kind of alluded to that a little bit as well. So, what was asked? What was answered? The first one was about, did he know he got to avoid a yellow card so he's not suspended? He goes, yeah, I known that for a long time. When did I get that second yellow, though? And by the way, we could turn it around and say, I only got 2 yellow cards, and I think a few of my colleagues got suspended, right? The final day, because it was asked about the final day, and he goes, yeah, I don't need to be there, but it would be cool if I was. So he was in good moods, good spirits still. Makes a good point, because, I mean, if people say into general football fans, which managers harass officials, Jurgen Klopp's going to come high up. But at the same time, others have been suspended this season for that. It's important to say. So there we go. He was then asked about the event that's been announced, isn't it? I think it's Tuesday, the 28th of May. The M&S Bank Arena, the Echo Arena, as most people would refer to it, but that's its official name, the M&S Bank one, the evening with Jurgen Klopp. So what did he respond to this, interestingly? I had a lot of evenings with Jurgen Klopp. It's not my idea, and I'm not involved in any organisation. I have no clue what happens that night. I've said whatever to the people in that perspective, I will do it. If someone wants me wherever as much as possible, if I can make it happen, I will. It's obviously no problem to come a week after, and if the people want that, I will be here. I hope it will be probably good. No pressure on people organising it, but it'd be nice if it could be a little bit funny. I heard John Bishop there is there, so it should be funny. Not exactly the ringing endorsement for tickets, but, who cares? It's going to be sold out. It's an evening with Jurgen Klopp, isn't it? I think there's a little part of me is thinking, and into Jurgen's mindset, he's going to struggle to hold it together on that final game. You know he is. He's going to be as emotional. I think you want to say the right things, but, on that, he's talked about it. on that coach through to the game, he'll be emotional. It'll be the last one. On the pitch, are we trying to hold it together? And maybe there's that feeling that, yeah, he's been asked to do this. He's doing it because it is Jurgen Klopp. But, and it is a big one, he maybe feel he wants to leave it all behind, so to speak. But listen, it doesn't change anything. The clamour will still be there for tickets. Everyone will be begging, borrowing and steal, trying to get that for the last official audience with Jurgen Klopp on Tuesday, the 28th of May. And my requesting for tickets, so let's see. He was then asked about, what he liked about the Spurs performance, particularly the power and intensity being back against Spurs last week. He said, for 70-ish minutes, I liked it a lot. We did what we wanted, and it was what people wanted and deserved to see. We spoke about that for a while, and if we're 100% honest, is this the season where we're the best team in the league? In our moments, we played our best game in our history, like against Manchester City, but it's always small margins when we didn't win it. And then in the minutes when we struggle slightly, we get punished for that. Those moments where we created a lot of chances and didn't score, that went in the wrong direction. I could see that. But it was nice to see against a strong opponent how strong they are, because when we took the foot off the gas, boom, they were back in the game. I was not worried the boys couldn't play this type of football, and I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, maybe we could have taken the story of the season there, isn't it? The 70th minute, which we'll come to, really good against Spurs. For those key moments, isn't it? Yeah, you look back to, people will always look back and they'll say the VAR. Look at that VAR against Spurs. That was the moment. Look at the United games. That was the moment. Look at the draw against City where we should have won. That was the moment. You pinpoint what you want, to be honest. They all just add up. And as he also said, if you take those chances that we miss galore, it's a different story. But that is the true tale of the season. Then he was asked about two players, almost a weird question sort of together as one, but I get why it was asked as one. He was asked about Harvey Elliott and Cody Gakpo. So he was asked about Harvey Elliott playing a good game and Cody Gakpo, so maturity. Interesting, because when the journalist mentioned Harvey Elliott getting praise, the first thing he said was, rightly so. He really repeated that. And then was asked about Cody Gakpo as well. So what did he say? He said, yeah, it was a great game for both. If I regret one thing, it's that maybe Harvey didn't play enough this season, maybe. In a really intense period, like January, he played really good, and he's probably our best player, whether it was in the right midfield or right forward. Then everyone came back and he didn't really start anymore. But it's really nice he could show that. Cody knows for a while he's not in his best moment. We had a conversation, not for the public. It helped him a lot and we could take it forward a bit from there. But how could we have that conversation? I have the answer for that situation when I didn't understand it. So you have to wait for a specific moment where I can give you answers. And maybe that took a little too long from my point of view. But when we talk about how he stepped right up, and it was good to see how physically strong he was smart again, full of confidence again. It's good for him. It's good for us. Interesting that he talks about those two players specifically, because they're naturally the two that everyone highlighted rightly after Spurs. Harvey Elliott's best game as a starter. It's interesting, he said, if you think about when all the injuries, there was almost that front three because there was no one else of Gakpo, Elliott and Diaz. And the whole thing was, when they come back, but maybe that is a little bit of something he'd look at, keeping, not just putting people straight back in, introduce it. But it's all this buts and maybes. I know people are going to say that, but it's interesting that he was honest about that Harvey Elliott maybe should have got more minutes. More interesting for me is the Gakpo scenario, because he's kind of been the utility man. He's not really nailed anything down. And people, and I want to be clear on this, because I know some people won't be Gakpo fans. Cody Gakpo has not had a good season or a great season. No, let me phrase that. Not a great season overall. The stats are all right, aren't they? I think 16 goals, 5 assists, so 21 goal contributions. And people say that's great for a fifth choice. Now, I'm not debating that. I think the biggest thing people would pick up on is that lack of physicality, that lack of intensity. For me, you always wonder, is this guy just better suited to Serie A, almost like a different league? But it's interesting that Jurgen Klopp gave a bit there, that not telling you what they said in private, but you could well imagine you need to toughen up a bit. You're a massive unit. Like, we need to see that physicality. Welcome to the Premier League. Like, you should really know that a little bit by now. This is me just guessing, by the way. You can disagree. It's up to you. But that's the biggest thing I think you're seeing in recent games. Obviously, this chat might have just been a toughen up a little bit, for want of a better phrase. And here we are. It would be so, so good to see Gakpo continue this till the end of the season. Yeah, you start to think, has he got a real option as a left-sided forward in this Arnie slot, 4-2-3-1, an alternate, etc. So, yeah, it'd be great to see those two players really keep it going. And they are the two sort of, and Salah's separate, because we all know what Salah can do, don't get me wrong, but the two real in-form attacking-based players at the moment. And we'll come to whether they're in the lineup, but I think you can probably guess from that. Very quick question. He's asked about Player of the Year shortlist and Mohamed Salah not being in it. He's asked, well, how many's in it? 8. Am I surprised? Yeah, because it's probably every year he's in there. Yeah, I'm surprised. You could tell he wasn't in a mood for talking about that any further. This is just absolute recency bias bollocks, isn't it? I see some people talking some nonsense about Mo Salah. Now, let's balance this up. He has not had the best run of recent form. I know they'll be like, Salah is a demigod for me, but he's not playing well. And it was right for certain games that he wasn't starting. We shouldn't be afraid to say that. However, over the course of this season, Mo Salah is still, for me, the best player in the Premier League, personal opinion. I understand the argument. People will say maybe he's weighing in a little bit and all that. I can understand all that. But over the course of the year, which is what you're judging it on, the fact that he's not in there, having got more goals, having got more assists than Phil Foden, and I think Foden's an unbelievable player, by the way, but just the fact he's not in there, and this utter recency bollocks is what it is. Then he was asked, and again, you could tell he wasn't in the best of moods for this, Darwin's speculation in this future goes, there is no speculation for us. That must be external because I don't know about it, but there's no speculation right now. Darwin is definitely not happy missing that chance. He's been lucky in so many tough situations, and that's really tough. He's got big expectations on himself. There's no alternative than going through it. We've tried to help him all we can, but in the end, you have to go through this. Everyone has to go through this. His problem is that he's good, so he's consistently in these moments. If he's less good, then he wouldn't have chances. But he's not too bad with his numbers. And then he asked the room to get, and some of them gave wrong stats because he got the 31 goal contributions this season, with 18 being goals. But he's not too bad with numbers. But because of his quality and his situation and our situation as a team, if someone had scored in that moment, it wouldn't have felt that bad. No one likes it, but it's a part of it. Yeah, all the speculation. It's all Barcelona-based nonsense, isn't it? It's sport. It's all things like Darwin Madrid. It might, who knows? But there's nothing concrete to really mention. The only thing that's been mentioned, and which was a while ago on Darwin Nunez, is about him, Liverpool looking at him as an option and using his threats, as David Ornstein wrote a long time ago. This is the obviously thing about the social media that's been talked about to death. And obviously, it's rumour season, people. We're into rumour season. Let's not say that unashamedly in any way. We're into rumour season. So people, we're looking for links. It's the easiest clickbait time as well. All I'd say is with Nunez, wait until you hear something solid either way before you go down that manhole. Whatever your thoughts are on the player, and that's a different debate altogether. And then the final one was about Jarell Quansah. You picked. I'm glad someone's asked this. I was thinking no one seemed to clock that or really be addressing that for the reasons at all. Whether was there another injury for Ibu? What is it? Because it was an 8-day gap. What is the scenario? So Klopp answered it. Said just like that, we play once a week and we see who looks in the best moment. We don't play with 3 centre halves or whatever, so we have to make a decision. Jarell is training really well and we have a lot of training sessions. It doesn't mean Ibu's not training well, but Jarell is playing really well and that's just how it is. The best situation I can have is just to sit there and look at it and make the decision. If you hand the chance to make the decision who's in the better moment, then you do it. There's no rotation necessary now, which is why we pushed him in a really good situation. That's true. The game justify it, and that's how it was against Son. With Richarlison, which is a bit of a different situation, but he's a very, very good, talented player. Yeah, I mean, people were wondering, he started Quansah on merit, didn't he? And we'll come to Quansah's overall performance, but for the first 70 minutes, looked really good, didn't he? Absolutely stonking, thinking of a better phrase, but bringing it out from the back, the passes, the interceptions, everything was really good for 70 minutes. But more importantly, you can now say for this game at least, and you'll have your debates. So the problem is now with these debates, gets on my tits. If you say, Jarell Quansah's ahead of Konate, this is a joke, that's a World Cup winner. It's like Jurgen Klopp picked him on merit ahead of Konate for this game. That's a fact. Jurgen Klopp has just told you that he's done that. So at the moment, when people make that statement that at the moment, Quansah is ahead of Konate in the pecking order, you can't argue that. It might change for Villa Park. He might come back in. We'll have to see. No injuries were given. Just for anyone asked about that, there was nothing about Jota coming back, anything like that. No player was talked about at all for some bizarre reason. I don't really know why that wasn't discussed or asked at all. But there you go. Jarell Quansah, it does raise a few questions about Konate. Everyone said, what, don't be stupid, it doesn't raise questions about Konate. There's been talk around Konate. He's got 2 years left on his deal. It's that magic number, isn't it? Michael Edwards will be fully aware of that as well. You fancy if he's going to stay or want a new deal with a wage increase, but would you give a massive wage increase to a player who misses as many games as Ibou Konate? I know a lot. Is it funny, is it? Because I've seen people say, you've got to start Konate. But I've heard the same people say we desperately need a centre-half on one that can start or play each week. It's a bizarre situation if you think about what they're saying, but there is a little bit of a question. It's not ability for anyone starts on that, but there's a few question marks around, I think, Ibou Konate and where he fits, so to speak, at Liverpool for next season. But that was the press conference. That was the Q&As. That's what I took from it. So let's get into Spurs. The clues from that one. People, 4 goals. 4 goals in the sunshine. 4 goals in the sunshine from open play. What a tale of erotic non-fiction that is, by the way. How we've missed the longing touch of goals from open play. Unbelievable. 4 in a game. It was just brilliant to be there, brilliant to see. For 70 minutes. I know someone's going to be always a dead rubber, blah, blah, blah. Spurs are knackered, 3 in a week. I get all that. But for the first 70 minutes, we're really good. We created chances. We made things happen. I'm glad Jurgen called them out because they do deserve the call-outs recently. Harvey Elliott, as the Up Boys mentioned, probably his best game for Liverpool. Best start anyway. Really everywhere. And that goal, unbelievable, isn't it? That curler into the top corner. You could see even the players' reaction. Even they were stunned by that. Cody Gakpo. And Elliott gets a goal and assist. So does Cody Gakpo, gets goal and assist. Great cross for Mo Salah. Yeah, great header as well. That interchanging, though, between left and the central role, the forwards were interchanging at times. It was brilliant to see. Now, I know it's the context. I'm not trying to sort of hark back to old halcyon days, but remember we had a 3-forward line that could interchange and have real impacts, but it was great to see Gakpo and Elliott making that case that way. Quansah, as he mentioned as well, really, really good for 70 minutes. Now, the tale of the game is, in simple terms, 70 minutes, brilliant. Every sub he made, it went to shit. Did it matter too much, you could argue, but Gravenberch and Badsetic in the middle, that provided no stability. And for obvious reasons, it's not digging out those players. Look how far Badge has been out. Maybe it didn't suit Grav to have that many changes. Maybe he wouldn't have made many or left a few. I don't know, but that didn't work. Joe Gomez, again, made a few good one clearance off the line, one off the top of the Spurs player's head, can't remember which one, but got caught out for the goal, didn't he? Switched off that way at the same time. So, yeah, and then Nunez, we could talk about that miss and the whole thing all day, but that topic's been talked about to death. So, as Jurgen Klopp has said previously, 70 minutes, really, really good. Foot off the gas, substitutions turn it to shit. But at the end of the day, it's a good win, and just something nice in the sunshine and for Jurgen with his, his last game against a big six contender, if you want to call it that. What should be really liked as well is, bugger me, if you play Trent Alexander-Arnold as an attacking right back, if you play Mo Salah and let him come in and get close to the goal, not on the touch, like doing the damage where he can do it, how good was that? Imagine not doing this inverted wank all the time with Trent. Imagine letting Mo Salah get in the right positions. Imagine playing towards the strengths they can bring. It was just so different. It really was. And people are always going to talk about these things. Salah's going to be talked about loads. Trent's position is going to be talked about loads. I'm not being hypocritical. I'll be in those conversations. But just take it for what it was. It was great to see our two most creative players getting in the right places. Yeah, maybe just something we won't mind seeing for the rest of days or whilst Jurgen Klopp is still here. But we'll have to see. Villa, by the way, it's a weird moment for Villa because their season kind of ended last night, didn't it? They're out to Olympiacos. They lost both those games. That will hurt them a little bit. Considering they've got Emery, who's so smart and wily in this competition, they did look a little naive. I mean, they've been conceding a lot of goals. They've lost the last 3. They do look like, and fair play, because Villa have had a stonking season. This is not digging them out. I think he's an unbelievably good manager for that level just below Unai Emery. I mean, the 67, Tottenham are a 60. Now, I suspect Spurs are going to get absolutely done over by City. So there's not really a situation, I think. You wouldn't get many betting on Villa not getting Champions League. So fair play. That's going to be a hell of a season. And people are looking at, Villa get Champions League. What a season that is for them. I just hope that's in their mind a little bit as well. Well, this isn't Spurs are going to Spurs it against City and other teams. Like, we should be enough. But they're 67 points. They got goals. And it is their last home game. So I'm not saying, please just to be clear on this. There's goals. It's their last home game. They will be up for this. They might just be a little bit tired because of all the games they've had recently, no doubt. But, I mean, you look at the goals. I mean, Watkins has got 27. Bailey's got 14. They've got a lot of players in double figures. They have got goals this season. Yeah, they've shipped quite a few. But, yeah, it's a tough one. You just hope maybe they're still recovering a bit from that loss and a bit gutted and the focus is elsewhere, thinking, we'll do it. So what's my lineup? To be honest, I don't see what you'd change. I think you get like Alisson, Trent, unless we're seeing some in training that Jurgen is, but VVD, Quansah, Robbo, Endo, McAllister, Elliott, Diaz, Gakpo, Salah. That would be mine. Someone might be thinking, which I understand, Watkins, that's a big test after how it hurts out against Richarlison for young Quansah. They might think Ibu back in that. And I'd understand that. But also, for all the quality on his day Ibu has, and he is unbelievably good on his day, he's been shite recently. It's okay to say that when he's played. He's been really, really bad. He's taken off against Everton for a reason. He wasn't the only one. But in recent games, he has looked so far off it. It's unreal. I don't think you'd change it. Maybe also because there's not that much riding on the game. It's good experience, I'd argue, for Quansah as well. So that I would keep the same. The subs, did any of the subs come in and make you think, wow, Robbo's got 2 in 2, so you're not changing your left back, despite some people think, oh, I'd have Gomez in. Trent is Trent. And the rest kind of pick themselves for me. So I would keep the lineup exactly the same as it was against Spurs. And the score, I do think it'll be tight. I'm going to go 2-1 Mo Salah to score, whether it be first or the winner, Mo Salah to get on the score sheet. He does like Villa. Got one away there last year as well, didn't he, when we were struggling? So that would be my prediction. But it's his last away game as Liverpool manager. It's Monday night. It's a tough game in one way. Let's just hope Villa are knackered. They kind of just want, they do look like they're hanging on a bit. They just almost need Tottenham to fall, which we expect them to. So let's just hope Unlikely that they lose to Burnley, but you never know with Spurs, do you? So let's hope that happens and it becomes kind of a dead rubber for them. But we'll have to see where we end up. And ladies and gents, that was another post-conference presser at Anfield Index.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.